Well, Takomo is back at it once again with a golf club that is a fraction of the price of the big brands, but claims to deliver all the performance, power, and forgiveness, and all of those good things that those expensive golf clubs do. This is the Takomo IGNIS 3-wood. They've just released 3 fairway woods, 3, 5, and 7. I'm a 3-wood guy. They sent me the 3-wood in 2 boxes, which was kind of cool. Your head and head cover come in here, and your shaft come in here. In today's video, I'm gonna take this out to the golf course for the first time, hit it on the range, see what we can do with it. We're gonna come back in the garage, talk about the numbers, and ultimately just give my opinions on this golf club, who it's for, is it worth it, or should you just stick with the big brand? Gotten to the golf course, it's time to get on the range and just kind of tune it in a little bit with the range balls and then take it out on the golf course and see what we can do with it out there. First few hits with it, tuning it in a little bit, the best I can with range balls and the launch monitor, it feels really solid. Like it's got that hard, punchy feel that I like in metal woods. They feel kind of like the old 975D, almost like a strong persimmon feel. It doesn't feel tinny, it doesn't feel hot, but it just feels strong. I like the flight of it. The shaft I think it's okay for me. It might not be the perfect shaft for me, but let's get on the golf course because that's where you're going to be using it. It's going to be those tough tee shots where you want a strong 3-wood that keeps you in play but gives you good yardage, or those second shots into par 5s, 3-wood, 5-wood, what have you, where you get good numbers, good flight, high enough that it's going to land, soft enough, and be consistent enough going through the turf and off the deck. Man, it felt really, really good. So let's get on this 18th tee and hit some tee shots. Just launching a little high, maybe spinning a little much. But it's freaking consistent. Those are the same 3 shots over and over again. Ball speed's good, club speed's coming up. I'm getting a little bit faster. That launch is good. Can't get the spin without the RPT balls, but man, this thing is easy to hit. Did I do that? Okay, let's go hit it like into the par 5. So now here we go, the second shot into a par 5. I know I'm on a tee box here, but let's just imagine this is fairway. I've got 260 to that flag. No real wind helping or hurting. So this is a shot where if it were a par 5, I would just want to hit a nice smooth 3-wood, get some height, land it soft enough, control it, and have a good look at eagle, putt, chip, what have you. So let's hit 3 and just see how this thing performs off the deck under pressure. It definitely looks really good at address out of the fairway. Like it looks really confidence inducing. Like you can kind of get this airborne nice. I caught that one a little bit off the toe, but it still went really well. Maybe a little short left. Gosh, it sounds so good though. Be a little bit thin, but that flight and that height is really nice. Like that one was hit solid. I'm really curious to see where these are. So we're walking on up here, and I mean, from 260, I'll certainly take it. There's our first one. Like I said, a little bit left, a little off the toe. That second one was perfect. Third one was great. I just feel like for me personally, the spin might be a little bit up. Like I get the height, I like that height, but I think it's spinning a little bit too much for me and might be costing me a few yards, because my 3-wood, I would expect these things all struck the way they were struck to have been landing on the green and maybe going to the back edge, not kind of right here, but I mean, you saw the consistency of that. It was very impressive, to say the least. Okay, we've taken it to the range and the golf course. We've dialed it in the best we can out there. I've spent a lot of time in the garage getting numbers with this, which I'm going to show to you very, very soon. But let's talk about this golf club and what you get for 259 bucks. Sexy head cover, like really nice head cover on there. Good. It doesn't feel cheap whatsoever. Great looking club. Carbon crown, looks really good at a dress, like I said out there. I like a somewhat deeper fairway wood, and this is pretty good. It's not, doesn't feel too shallow and just look kind of flimsy. Looks really good top down. Shaft is a Project X Hazardous RDX Smoke. You have two options. You have the red or the blue option. Lambkin crossline grip, and it's adjustable. 2 degrees up, 2 degrees down in loft, or 2 degrees upright. You also have 3 weights here just to change, subtly change a little bit with the center of gravity, but I don't think those would do too much for too many golfers. The adjustable sleeve's different though. So every adjustable club I've ever seen comes in 2 pieces. Head, shaft. This one comes in 3. Head shaft and adjustment ring. It's the ring that carries all the little changes to it. So the shaft is completely 360 round here, but there's little things there and there's little things on the head that will adjust your lie or loft accordingly. One cool thing about it though is no matter what you do, the grip doesn't change, or like the logoing on your shaft doesn't change. And some people, that's a thing. Like they change it, they need to regrip the club because they don't like looking at it. It feels weird. Yeah, that's a cool little thing. I would say the thing that worries me is if you're like changing this and you're careless, you drop this, you step on it, or yeah, however, for whatever happens, if you lose this or break this, you're kind of screwed. You like don't have a 3-wood until you can get a replacement from them. But it's simple. If you were to change it, just don't take it off. Just kind of keep it there, and there you go. So it was simple enough to change. I'm down a degree, so I'm down to 14, and that just slides on there. Really, really easy, but just very different. As I suspected on the golf course, I said this thing spun a little bit too much, and when I got in here and hit it on the launch monitor off the deck, I was right. It just spins too much for me, and that's just the shaft. The shaft is it's the stiffest option I could get, but unfortunately the characteristics of this shaft just spin too much for me to give me exactly what I need out of a 3-wood. Averaging over 3,600 RPMs of spin, and that's why the carry over 5 really solid struck shots was averaging 246. Launching great, launching right around 12 degrees, between 12 and 13. That's awesome launch characteristics off the deck. Peak height, 105 feet, so it's not going too high, but too much spin into the wind like that tee shot, that's gonna start going too high, and that's gonna be harder to control. Ball speed's a little down, but look at the dispersion. Like, look at that flight. It was just so predictable. It's so easy to hit. It looks so good behind the ball, so it just induces confidence, and you see it right there. But the ball speed is a little bit down. I don't think if I even put the 25 gram versus the 20 gram, if that would really change a whole heck of a lot to give me 5 more miles of ball speed and 800 less RPM of spin, because I live probably right around 160 ball speed and 260 yards with a 3-wood. These were just 5 solidly struck ones from my Stealth 2, and look at this. The numbers are exactly what I expect out of a 3-wood. Launching the same as the IGNIS, spinning 700 RPM less, carrying 14 yards further. Ball speed is up right at 160, and it's actually less club head speed. So this thing moves a little bit faster, and when we compare just a solid one head to head with a solid one, right off the center of the face, look at all the metrics here. Everything's really good. The launch is good. The height's just a couple feet higher than the average, but that spin, I mean, I just hit that one solid and it spun 4,300 RPM. So that's one that you see the carry 246. If I were into the wind, that thing could have fallen out of the sky. That much spin for me with a 3-wood isn't something that's very playable, because when I compare it head to head just with like a solidly struck Stealth 2, my current gamer, look at 3,000 RPMs, 261 in the air, 161 ball speed. It's just like, this is what I want out of a 3-wood. To replace that, I need something that's like the same, if not better. And unfortunately, this golf club for me just spins too much. But this isn't a video about like, is it perfect for me or not? It's a video about how good is it? Who's it for? Does it compete with the big brands? It absolutely competes with the big brands. For $259, you're getting just so much performance. You just have to be someone that these shafts match with. That's the difficulty. And that's, I think, a little bit of a limitation with the direct-to-consumer model when we get into fairway woods and drivers. I want to game it. I love it. I love how consistent it was to hit. But unfortunately, this shaft option is not an option. I could pop this sleeve off and put it in, mess around with some other shaft options, but that brings us out of the direct-to-consumer model, and that puts us kind of cost in line with the big brands. And that's not the model of Takomo and the other direct-to-consumer brands. The whole other video I'm working on. This is about this club. I give it an A. It's not quite an A+, just because for me, it just spins too much. But for a lot of golfers, they need spin with their fairway woods. So this is why they chose a shaft that's going to be strong, but be a little bit more on the spinnier side. Yeah, like I said, it's an A. It's a very much a passing grade. It's a great golf club. I just wish it could go in my bag, but that doesn't mean it can't go in your bag. Let me know, do you have this club down below? What do you think about it? What do you think about the whole direct-to-consumer thing? I think there's a lot of great things on the horizon with direct-to-consumer golf clubs, and we're only 2-3 years into it. So look out, big brands. I think these companies are around to stay.